Now, the WMAL Fisher House Radiothon continues. Please support our wounded warriors and their families by calling in your contribution now. 888-294-8560. That's 888-294-8560.
It's 7:07 here on this Friday, the 5th day of December. Thanks so much for tuning in to O'Connor and Company, especially today as we continue our Fisher House Radiothon as we do every year and have done now going on our 23rd year. Thank you so much for all the support you give to Fisher House. You kind of make us look good, and we appreciate that. And, of course, you're helping out all of our veterans in active duty and their families. Coming up at 8:05, in addition to our Fisher House programming, we'll have the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Jason Smith, talk about a brand new GAO study that shows, well, what appears to be rampant fraud in the Obamacare system. We'll get to that coming up. But first, I'm Larry O'Connor, and that right there is Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning. Happy Fisher House Friday, everybody.
Yes, happy Fisher House Friday indeed. Joining us right now, excuse me. Joining us right now is Aimee Huber. She's the executive director of First Choice Women's Resource Centers, and her attorney, Gabby McIntyre from Alliance Defending Freedom. The both of these amazing women had a day in court this week in the Supreme Court. You would ask, why would executive director of a pregnancy crisis center helping women who make the choice to keep their baby but need some help and need some counseling, need some resources. Why on earth would you need a lawyer? Why would you have to go to the Supreme Court? Well, Aimee, sadly, you had very good reason to go to the Supreme Court. Please tell us your story, and thank you, first of all, for everything that you do, and thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. So yes, going to the Supreme Court is never something that I thought I would ever do as a pregnancy center director, but it was necessary because we were served with an unlawful subpoena by New Jersey's Attorney General 2 years ago. It commanded us to release up to 10 years of documentation on our donor communications, our advertising, our statements about abortion pill reversal, and even our donors' identities. So standing up to that was necessary because it was such a clear case of government overreach and harassment.
And as usual, the incredible warriors at Alliance Defending Freedom were there for you, arguing the case. Gabby McIntyre, thank you so much for joining us. There was a moment, I saw this, listened to the audio, where Justice Clarence Thomas, in his incredibly nonplussed and straightforward manner, got an amazing revelation here, which was there was never any predicate here. There was no reason other than what you tell me. Was this just harassment?
Yeah, it was truly never more clear than on Tuesday that this is pure government intimidation masquerading as law enforcement. You're exactly right. Justice Thomas got that concession that there is no factual basis, no complaints from donors to think that First Choice is deceiving its donors. This is a targeted harassment campaign, this unfounded subpoena. And when a state government official targets and harasses his ideological opponents like that, he should be held accountable in federal court for violating those constitutional rights. And I think that that's what the justices were recognizing, and we're very hopeful in a victory.
You know, Gabby, talk about the historical precedent of donor disclosure. I mean, the Supreme Court has weighed in on this issue going back to the civil rights era. And Aimee, if you would, I would love for you just to talk about, the importance of what First Choice Women's Resource Centers actually do, because the media is I'm just looking at a headline that calls it anti-abortion pregnancy centers, but that's not what you guys are about. So it's a two-part question for each of you.
By the way, can I just say something real fast? Anything that is a pregnancy center that involves helping a pregnant mother develop and give birth to a baby, by definition, would be anti-abortion, I think. Because you can't have both, all right?
It truly is very clear. Yep. Yeah, Justice
Gabby.
Roberts brought this up, that that this court, he said this almost exact quote, this court continually has recognized that we protect donor privacy. And he's exactly right. There is precedent backing this up. We have the Americans for Prosperity Foundation versus Bonta case before the court, where that had to do with donor privacy, and the court was very clear. We take that very seriously when you have a government official who's asking for that information, demanding that information. There's also the NAACP case If you look at our pleadings, we mention that case a lot because, back in the civil rights era, you're exactly right. There were government officials trying to go after the membership list of the NAACP, and the mere existence of that demand was enough to reduce the NAACP's membership by 50%. So this is very serious.
We serve women in unplanned pregnancies and have for 40 years. So women who are scared and vulnerable and think that abortion is their only option can come to us for professional services and compassionate care, all free of charge.
Well, and this, of course, so obviously demonstrates the lie of the term pro-choice, because they are only pro-one choice. And since you're offering support and alternatives for other choices, like keeping a baby and giving birth to that baby, they come after you this way. And again, this was the Attorney General of New Jersey. And I just want to be clear here. This Attorney General got into office, Matthew Platkin, got into office, took hold of the Attorney General's office in New Jersey, and just decided, even though there were no complaints, there was no suspicion of any crime or anything, no underlying predicate, Aimee, this Attorney General just said, we don't care. We're going to issue subpoenas, and we're going to investigate, and we're going to hunt, and we're going to fish, and we're going to try to find something. That's what happened?
That's correct. Absolutely.
It's And if I could, Counselor McIntyre, obviously it appears as though the Supreme Court will support the Constitution here and support the rights of your client. But most of us hear this story and they say that's not enough. There needs to be some punishment. That if an attorney general, a politician, an elected official utilizes the government to go after an individual citizen exercising their freedoms, there should be penalties. There should be repercussions. Is this criminal behavior?
Well, so what we're arguing and what's before the court right now is whether First Choice will have its day in federal court. And that certainly is a huge deterrent effect. You need that federal court system in order to check this state officials' power at the state level. You run the risk, of course, in certain states where the governor appoints both the attorney general as well as the state court judges. So you run a risk of a very insulated proceeding, and that's exactly why Section 1983 of the Civil Rights Act exists, is to make sure that folks like First Choice have their day in federal court, and that's so important. Justice Kavanaugh even brought up the ACLU filed a brief in support of First Choice in this case because it spans across the ideological spectrum. If you have a hostile attorney general, and we certainly do in this case, he's made no secret of his hostility towards pregnancy centers, and you have that attorney general harassing and targeting his ideological opponents, then those litigants, those recipients of that subpoena, they need to be able to hold him accountable in federal court.
Well, we'll be following that as well. And I'm guessing, based on the analysis I saw in the write-ups, but you were in the room, if you had to guess, how do you think this is going to come down?
Well, we're certainly very hopeful for a victory. I believe that each of the justices truly did grasp that this is an unfounded investigation, that this is weaponization of the state government to go after his ideological opponents, and that they see the importance of making sure that you protect donor privacy and allow these litigants to have their day in federal court.
Well, this is why we love Alliance Defending Freedom. And Gabby McIntyre, thank you for fighting this fight on behalf of the First Choice Women's Resource Centers. And Aimee Huber, again, thank you for what you do. Let's have a bit of a boomerang effect here, sort of like the Streisand effect. They're coming after you. They're intimidating you. I would hope that this would increase donations and increase attention and raise awareness for what you're doing. So if somebody wants to help out your center, what should they do? Where can they go?
Sure. Thank you so much. They can just go to firstchoicegives.com. Firstchoicegives.com.
There it is. God bless you.
Terrific.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you
Happy
too.
holidays,
Thank you.
and thanks for joining us.